Hi everyone, and welcome to the first vlog, I think, of 2020. Is it? Maybe? Might be. Sorry I've been away for so long, but the good news is, you might not think it's good news, but it is, for me, as far as I'm concerned, is that I'm going to be doing a lot more with this channel. I think it's been lying dormant for a little bit too long. The job that I'm in now currently, I love the job, and I get to make videos about this subject, but what it does is that obviously I don't have enough time to work on some of my projects, and I try and fit this stuff in, but with this year's just been an absolute nightmare for filming. Elusive II, we'll get to that shortly, was meant to be, most of the way filmed now, but because of the restrictions and travel and all the legislation that might come in, especially with Scotland, with Sturgeon doing all this, I'm going to close the borders nonsense, trips that I've been planning with Andy McGrath, who was meant to feature in Elusive II. We've just not been able to get around that. A lot of people have involved with that have been furloughed, so they've got families to look after. So the whole thing, just an absolute nightmare. But I think what we've got to try and do is look at the positives, and that's all we can do. What else can we do? So I've done my fair share of mourning about COVID, but I'm pretty much done with it now because it is what it is. I mean, all we can do is just get on with what we can do. So what I didn't know about YouTube Beta Studio is that, thanks YouTube, is the spam section inside of the studio. There's about 1 million comments in there that have been spammed, which were, for the most part, genuine questions or queries or bits of information and links to, people pointing me in the direction of research for all the projects that I've been working on. So YouTube's filtering system has just thrown it all in there, and it's the first time that I've seen a lot of this stuff. So sorry if I haven't replied to your comment or email or request. There's a few interview requests in there that I'm not a big fan of doing the interviews, and I cannot get a bloody webcam in 2020. What the hell? And I don't want just some cheap, piece of crap. I'm trying to get hold of a decent one, and you just can't get hold of one at the moment still. So that's ongoing. So those of you who asked me to do an interview on Skype and Zoom, as soon as I can get my hands on that webcam and get it all set up in here, we'll get onto that. So what are we up to, or what am I up to for the remainder of this year? Well, the most popular question in, you might see me glancing over there because I've got a bunch of notes here. One of the most popular questions, believe it or not, is about the reptilian phenomena and when I'm going to do a sequel to Don't Mention. And, a lot of people saying, where is the sequel? We're looking for this film online, we can't find it. And that's because it never got made. However, it is now in production. So I've set in some interviews up in America. I got the first 3D render back from the sculpts of the reptilian creatures that I've had, that I've commissioned to a really great artist. I'm really impressed with this guy's work. So, I mean, a lot of people didn't like the drama, and then some people did like the drama. Personally, it was a little bit too ambitious, the dramatic part of the first film, so that's out of the sequel. And we're going to go straight interviews, and we're going to, I don't know if you remember, my theory with this is, I don't know if you remember when Zeitgeist, the movie, came out a long time ago. Zeitgeist was absolutely groundbreaking. I think it was based on Jordan Maxwell's research, but do you remember what it did with the biblical texts and all that, a lot of ancient texts and biblical scholars has obviously compiled all these religious works, and what Zeitgeist did was break down that. Well, this is what I'm trying to do, because I'm really excited that for Don't Mention the Reptilians II, not only have I got James Bartley coming back, who's a great friend of mine. He's a bit of a mentor for me in this subject, because in terms of guys who know the stuff, he's up there with with the reptilian stuff and ufology. Actually, a lot of people don't realise that James does and has done loads of research in ufology. He just doesn't pander to a lot of the stuff that goes out there that you have to be on this team or that team. James is just not one of those guys, and as it happens, a lot of the guys that I work with are like that. They like to do their own thing, and that's probably why we gel. So the The guy I'm talking about is Pierre Sabak. So if you're not familiar with Pierre Sabak, you should be, especially if you're into the reptilian subject. So Pierre Sabak's work is just incredible. If only I'd known about Pierre Sabak's work back when I started all this, I'd probably be right down the rabbit hole now. Anyway, this work of Pierre Sabak's, particularly his work in his latest book, The Holographic Culture, is absolutely immense. The work, I think there's like 10 to 15 years of research gone into this one book. And you can tell. I mean, reading this is like reading, it's incredible. The amount of depth and research that's gone into this book. So my plan with Pierre, who's going to appear, and he's really excited about appearing in the sequel, and I'm really excited about having him in it. It's going to be... I can see how, in my head, I already know how we're gonna work this and how it's gonna all unfold, and how Pierre Sabak is. I think it's absolutely fundamental in this subject. I think the reptilian phenomena still considered taboo, which is absolutely ridiculous. If you're a ufologist and you're watching this, and you're still scorning and frowning over this subject, it is absolutely key and fundamental. I don't care who you are. I don't care what credentials you allegedly have. If you are not looking into this subject, if you're ignoring it because some guy that's been in ufology for 30 years tells you that it's nonsense, a lot of these guys are gatekeepers, pay no attention to people like that ignore this subject. What do I take? Do I take that guy who's been ignoring 30 years of, had 30 years of research, he's been continuously ignoring the witnesses and the information coming out about these beings? Or do we listen to guys that don't pander to those beats, that want to get that information out regardless of how much time and money it's costing them? They're doing it for free. A guy that spent 15 years writing one book. That's what's important to me. These are the guys that we should be looking at. So anyway, rant over. Sorry about that. It's a little rant. There is another guy that's agreed to appear, but I don't want to just give that name just yet. I'll do another upload next week or in the next few days, and hopefully I've got to get a form sent out to him and he's got to sign that. But this guy's stuff is really cool. And as far as I can remember, I can't remember seeing any video interviews with him, and I've looked because I've seen everything he's done and listened to everything he's done. And you may or may not be familiar with this guy's stuff, but some of the evidence that it has is incredible. You might remember what I did with the first film, and that is I included Richard Bruce. And at the time, people were saying, well, who's this guy? Who's this Richard Bruce? We don't know him. He's never lectured. We've never seen him on the circuit. We're not familiar with his stuff. So Richard's stuff was great. And that's what I plan to do again this time around. There's a guy who's been into this reptilian research for 20 years at least that I know of. In fact, when I got into this, I was watching his stuff, and he's one of the YouTubers that really got me into this, and he's had various YouTube channels. But hopefully we can get him on board. But again, I've been in touch, and I'm hoping that he's going to agree to feature in the film. There is someone else, as a lady that's agreed to appear, a friend of James Bartley's. I don't really want to give her name out without her permission, but again, as soon as I get permission and get everything signed, we can get that done, and I'll announce that. So that's everything about Don't Mention the Reptilians II. So what else? The second most asked question, third most asked question is obviously about Elusive, which I'm really proud of. Elusive, if you haven't seen it, is about the British Bigfoot and cryptids. I think Elusive's probably, when I finished Elusive, I actually finished it and thought, other than it being a little bit long, I was really happy with it. I think everyone that appeared in that was incredible, really. And I'm really proud of it. Now, the plan was this year to follow up with Elusive, and I have done a little bit of filming for it, but the plan was to have actually 70 or 8% of it done. I should have been to Scotland with Andy McGrath on a filming. We was meant to do a week up there in Scotland, but that got cancelled due to COVID, messing with travel regulations, jobs and time and kids, childcare, all that sort of stuff. So it just went completely out of the window. Absolute nightmare. So unfortunately, Elusive II won't come this year, but it will come because it's one of the things that loads of people are interested in. I loved making it. It's especially after this year. You know, I think all of us, when this nonsense started, we were hoping to be out of the house and back on doing what we were doing and out travelling and going on holiday and hiking and camping and all that sort of stuff, which the sequel to Elusive, that was all it was going to be. It was going to be, a lot of people saying, Chris, you should have done a little bit more or showed a lot more of the wild camping that you did. And the reason I didn't show that was because it gets boring showing nothing. Ultimately, you're out there and nothing happens, and that's not really great in a film. All you're doing, and I've watched a lot of these Bigfoot documentaries, you just build people's expectations up, and at the end, nothing happens. And it's disappointing when that happens. I think witness encounters, I don't think you can get enough of these witness encounters. I think it's great for the film, it's great for the subject, and it's good for other witnesses that watch this stuff because it brings more witnesses out, which is great. And that's really what it's all about. So I will get on with that. So the next question is Bringing Down the Light. A lot of people wondering why that film's not on Vimeo. The reason the film's not on video at the moment is because the membership ran out on Vimeo, and it's something like 300 quid to get it done. 270 quid, something like that. And the plan was obviously to renew that, and obviously Elusive II and the other short films that I was going to do was going to go on there. But it's probably something that Paul and I are going to do. We've looked at distribution, but all these guys want the movie up front, and they don't really want to pay you for your hard work. There's 20 odd years of research from Paul and a shed load of time making the film from myself. So we're not just willing to just give that film away to some guy that can make a load of money off it, and we don't benefit from it. And again, you can ask Paul. It's not about money. What it is, it's about respect. And these distributors just want to take people's stuff. And I think recently Amazon did something with a lot of fringe topics and fringe movies, stuff from Small Town Monsters and all that. They suddenly started taking more of the share. Amazon decided that it wanted a lot more of the profit from these films, and that's terrible. So Paul and I were still trying to get that film out, and for those of you who wanted to buy that on DVD, I think I've spoke to my mate who's going to get some more done. Because believe it or not, people still want to buy DVDs. I always get asked about DVDs. Yes, I get a lot of questions about streaming, and because streaming's easier. Obviously, it's a bit more modern. But the DVDs are what people have been questioning me about. So we're getting some more made for you, for those of you who've been asking about that. Right, date-wise, in terms of when's it going to be released, well, that's a good question. And I don't have the answer to that. But what I do know is that Don't Mention will be out before Christmas. Definitely out before Christmas. Providing all the production goes to plan. I don't see any reason why not at my end, provided that we're still allowed into people's homes to film or outside to film, then it should go ahead, and that shouldn't be a problem. I'll keep you guys updated with, a lot of people like the fact that I put little bits of teasers up. I probably put too many up, to be honest. But I will still be doing that. And on this channel particularly, I think it's been dormant for so long, and a lot of you guys still get in touch with me regarding various projects and various bits of research. One film that I have talked about off the back of, I've been talking about it since Don't Mention, because it's such a massive part of ufology, and that is the Mylab stuff. And this is not the targeted individual stuff. I've got loads, I'm not joking, loads of people talking about targeting individuals. It's an interesting subject. I just don't have the time to do that stuff. There are other filmmakers out there that are trying to do that. If I can help you guys in any way, those of you that are looking into that targeted individual stuff, I will do. If you need some help, if there's maybe bits of interviews that I can help you with or something like that, then that's cool. But I just don't have the time or the inclination at the moment, because I've got a backlog of projects that I'm more committed to. So, not saying that's not an important subject. Clearly is, because it ties in with some of this Mylab stuff. I know it does, so I'm not one of those guys that's going to deny that that stuff's happening. So yeah, the Mylab movie, I will be shooting elements of that in the same shoot as I do the Reptilian stuff. With James Bartley will be featuring in that, and his friend, who I won't release the name of just at the moment until I have her permission. She'll also be featuring that because she has got some incredible Mylab experiences to talk about. She's been featured in a couple of TV shows, actually. Thanks for listening to me waffle on yet again. My waffle hasn't gotten any better. I've tried to improve that, and I've not done this for a long time, so just bear with me. I got a new setup and got a really cool mic and all this stuff. So anyway, we'll make it work. We'll talk about some interesting stuff. We'll get some. I'm going to try and do a few interviews with people on this channel. Speak to some of the people that have mentored me and people that I'm friends with, the researchers and colleagues and whatnot. And maybe even I'm probably going to start making some short videos with a lot more visuals on them for this channel, because I don't think I really do enough with this channel. I've got a few subscribers that are interested in this stuff, and unfortunately YouTube's ended a lot of channels that have gone down the sensationalist road. Those guys that went into it to scam people and make a little bit of money, and they were doing After Effects, and every new video was a fake CGI UFO, and they were getting views and thousands of views, but in the end it bit them on the ass, because what they were doing is just talking absolute crap and doing a disservice to the genre. So you might say that they deserved it, but there also has been some really good channels that have been bitten as well. If you can support those guys, I've always said it from the start, if you can support them, do it. For the price of you always hear, for the price of a coffee. Well, it is the price of a coffee, isn't it? A coffee, Starbucks, £2.70 or something, or £3.50 or whatever it is. If you want a sandwich, you're talking £8. So if you can go onto someone's Patreon or YouTube channel and support them, and cool, do it, because I do. So support the YouTubers that are left out there. That's what I say. I hope to get some more videos on this channel. It's been lying dormant, and I've got quite a few subscribers that really have been, love this stuff that I do. And what I plan to do is do some short edits with a few more visuals. So you might be, you might have to listen to some of my dulcet tones for some of the videos, but not in all of them. And let's see if we can do a little bit more with this channel. And as soon as I've got some stuff to show you guys, I will do. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in, for listening to this latest video release, and I hope to see you guys soon.